Well, welcome to this pre-Thanksgiving. I'm going to offer you a little bit of a different show today. I'd like to give you some information, and it's laid out very clear and very simple about exactly what is going on. We're coming up to this December 21st business, and right now it's November the 12th, and I wanted to just open and share a few minutes with you about things that change. And things do change all the time. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. Time to be born and a time to die. Well, there's some people that are planning for a lot of people to die, and they're involved with witchcraft. Now, don't let that bother you, and don't cry, because there is a time to cry. But there's a time to be born, and there is a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill, and a time to heal. Time to break down, and a time to build up. Our nation is being broken down, and it's not by happenstance, but it's been a long, concerted effort by, many people say, by a bunch of aliens. Uh, People that have come here from another planet, and they have seeded the earth, and they're going to help mankind. And really, Jesus told us all about these things, that we were not to listen to angels with a different message. Paul wrote this, and he said, though we are an angel from heaven, come and speak anything else to you. Not even to accept that message. Now, there's a lot of clowns that are on the earth today, and a lot of clowns that are promulgating or prolificating or pontificating, whatever the word is that you'd like to say. But what it is that they're doing. Now, I know this sounds bizarre to you, but there are people who do have plans, and I'm going to give you some of their names. Now, again, I'm just going to present something to you that I think a lot of people in the past have already presented, but because I'm just going to try a little something different and have some fun here with you today, there is a few men that really believe that they're supermen, and this is really their mindset. They believe that they are creating an Uberman, like Hitler was trying to do, through genetically fooling around and making people supermen. And what's going on in this time frame, as it is approaching Christmas, again, Christ Mass, but it's really a pagan holiday, and they really are pirates. They are stealing the wealth from the earth and having real great fun while they're doing it. They take pleasure in the destruction and the theft of other people and other nations. I would like to just give you some of their names while we run around this racetrack. And here we go. Well, there's 12 of them, but of course it does break down to the 13 Illuminati blood lines and the families. Again, like we stated, they are into witchcraft. And, well, let's just go ahead and give you some of these occult devils' names who are manipulating by their power sources. The global Teutonic Zionists, let's just label them as that, who present themselves really as angels to you and to the world. But they're working towards their New World Order, and just one of them is Lord Jacob de Rothschild. Now, his spooky son also is Nathaniel, and I want you to do your own investigating and Google their names while you still have the freedom to do that. Lord Jacob Rothschild and his spooky son, Nathaniel. Then we have Baron John de Rothschild. I'm sure him and his wife would like to just wave at you. Another one would be Sir Evelyn de Rothschild, and of course his wife, Lynn Forrester. Now, she is a big mover and shaker in the Democratic Party, as she presents herself a fine wife to be of the Sir Evelyn. And, his wife, Lynn Forrester, is a big, like we stated, mover and shaker in the Democratic Party. Now we have David Rockefeller. He is a Sephardic crypto-Teutonic, whose son Nick told film director Aaron Russo about 9/11 in advance. Then we have Nathan Warburg. Now, his family was not only instrumental in creating the Federal Reserve, but they were also behind the rise of Adolf Hitler. Now, then we have Henry Kissinger. Again, this man goes way back, and he enjoys little children at his behest. If you have a chance, and if they still have the information up on the web of Kay Griggs, you can type her name in and let her tell you what her husband had written about with these people. He breaks the whole information down on him. What an absolute vile man that he is. And there's George Soros. He's another Teutonic schemer and new global, or a of course he's for the New World Order, but he's also funding non-governmental organizations that really want to run over and trample over all of your rights while they present themselves, just average Joes, you play a little ball with the kids, I guess, And we have Paul Volcker, a crypto creep, really, big-time globalist, and economic advisor to Obama. And again, these people believe they're in touch with entities who are receiving information, and that, really they're just a bunch of clowns. God says He's going to laugh at them, and that they're not going to be able to pull off this nonsense in the rest of the planet. But a lot of people will die because they are just a bunch of devils, and they're trying to present themselves as good men. And yeah, like we stated, they are a bunch of devils, but they present themselves as very cute and cuddly as they continue their rituals and sacrifice. But there's a thing called sowing and reaping, and they have sown great problems on the planet. And again, as they're running over other people's rights, acting all tough and macho, really, like I stated, they are just a bunch of clowns. And they do have an end, and it will be soon. And Jesus said that whatsoever a man sows, that shall he also reap. But I would guess I would have to correct that, because I guess it was by the writing of Paul. And Paul said, whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. If he sows to the flesh, he shall of the flesh reap corruption. But if you sow to the Spirit, you shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. So, while we're coming up on this great season of Christmas time, there were some interesting facts that we wanted to lay out with you, and just do your own information on these people. And hope you have a good, fun time during this season of pagan worship. And of course, they all do believe they're a bunch of Caesars. While they're worshiping their gods, we can at least worship our God and understand that He is still in control, and that these pirates and these evil men are only going to have their power for a small time, and it will come to an end. And this is because God hates their wickedness, and but we are surrounded with a great cloud of angels and ministering spirits, and we just wanted to try to give some information to you on these things and share them with you. And if you understand what took place for the last 50 years by these devils, and wizards, and witchcraft, Illuminati, these Rothschild goons that we just listed for you, they orchestrated this pump and dump phase that we just came out of in the last 15 years with hedge funds. But of course, Bill Clinton, when he repealed the Glass-Steagall Act in 1999, while presenting himself ever so innocent, coming to the rescue, as he really, the reason we got out of our debt, as he played Superman, was because he sold off all of our parks to the United Nations and set them up as the Heritage Center. So, he knocked that one right out of the park. So this allowed the Rothschilds to pump up the housing industry with fraudulent housing mortgages, known as derivatives, because they were unbacked by, well, they were unbacked and only open really to the insiders who knew that this was going on. The dump phase was when the scheme could not sustain itself, as there were no funds to back the mortgages. So, this is when all Americans lost their homes. Now, all the time, the orchestrators of the housing bubble invested against the housing industry, knowing full well that they were going to crash. Then, in order to secure backing for these unbacked derivative mortgages, Obama started printing trillions, sending America into a huge black hole debt. Well, who got the money? Well, Rothschild's cartel got the money in banks all across the globe. And, of course, number one, the deal that years ago these wizards of finance created. Number one, you must denominate all the oil sales in US dollars. Now, this, of course, was created, and the puppet man that was used at that time was Mr. Henry Kissinger. And he took a little trip over to Saudi Arabia and promised them that they could be rich as sheiks, which they now have become. And this little devil, of course, told them that they had to sell all of their oil around the globe in US dollars. And they could have a certain percentage of that money to build their country and their infrastructure and to supply them with everything that they needed. Because we're such a good people, we want to help you out. Of course, again, being the devils that they are, they said that they would take those American dollars and pay them, but they had to buy our national debt. Wow. Of course, via the T-bills. So, these old wicked men, the pirates that they are, had a little deal. Anyone have any idea what's going to occur next during this modus operandi? Well, they're going to run roughshod right over us. So they signed the agreement and didn't have the slightest idea of what they'd done. This is what is keeping the US dollar afloat today. There were only two countries that didn't sign on that deal. And of course, that was Iran and Iraq, or Iran and Iraq. So, this is why the Iraqi dinar, or dinar, is being held artificially low by these wizards, and it's not pegged to its current GDP or the GNP. So Rothschild has had nearly every country forgiving Iraqi debt. And until Rothschild can get out of paying back the Middle East for Kissinger's deal with the T-bills, it's likely to stay unpegged from Iraq's GDP. This is why the United States Barry Soetoro comes to the rescue. Of course, Barry Soetoro is also known by the name Barack Hussein Obama, and he has come to the rescue as the messenger that he is. Now, along with France's Nicolas Sarkozy and Britain's David Cameron, these wizards who are all Rothschild junkies, to say the least, are sending your husbands and wives and sons and daughters to Libya to foment the Middle East and melt down the surrounding nations around them while they play Superman and give the lie that they're there to help. And of course, the Middle East is just melting down by these devils. So Rothschild and his New World Order Kabbalists want out of this T-bill debt that they printed up using Rothschild's Federal Reserve in New York. This is also why the Rothschild puppeteers are pushing for the world to unpeg from the U.S. dollar. They want out of the mess debt of printed unbacked currency at the Rothschild Federal Reserve bilking machine. So they want out of it. And they want out of the mess debt of printed unbacked currency the Rothschild Federal Reserve is creating. What a better way to get out of answering to congressional hearings after they abjugated the Middle East wealth and U.S. wealth through a modus like the housing bubble. That is why I've got to chase that cat off of that. She keeps trying to tear up that seat in the back. But enough said. We just wanted to have some fun today. Remember, this is why Rothschild wants to print new currency that'll work for all Canada, U.S., and Mexico. They want to erase any connection between them printing money and their deals. This North American inclusive currency will send the United States back to the Stone Age. So, can anyone say why for the immigration fiasco for the last decade that we've experienced? While we're talking today, John McCain has already started dismantling our armed forces with the discontinuation of the F-22 Raptor down to the Model T of jet fighters, the GE Fiasco, the F-35. It's basically a flying coffin. Well, welcome to the world, or should I say the New World Order of Judases. The Middle East is being played like a fiddle by these witchcraft Illuminati, these wizards. Well, it's the London banking cartel into chaos. You know, stir things up and cause them to be weak from the inside, just like at home here. This is being done to destroy the American dollar and America. The Federal Reserve is going to renege on paying back the T-bills that the Teutonic Zionists, like Henry Kissinger and the other 11 men that I read their names to you. And if I didn't finish them, let's just give the rest of them to you. So we get to Paul Volcker. He's a big-time globalist, and of course he's an advisor to the wizard puppet, who presents himself as an angel. Barry Soetoro, Barack Hussein Obama, and of course Larry Summers. Again, he's another advisor to Obama. And we've got Lloyd Blankfein, the CEO to the rapidly growing Goldman Sachs banking behemoth. Ben Shalom Bernanke, he's the current Teutonic Master of the Federal Reserve, which again, mind you, it is a private entity. It's neither federal nor reserve. So what's the common denominator again? You might as well say goodbye to America. And again, it is because of the writing of Paul and said, what you sow, you reap. And now we're going to reap exactly what we've sown. We have stolen, mind you, other people's lands, and now they are going to use the pirate scenario and steal and pillage and take everything from us. But of course it is fulfilling the book of Revelation. And we ain't gonna be able to get out of this one until we are done with the ride. So say goodbye to the princess days of America and the fun, silliness that we've enjoyed in this goofball country of idols with all of our pagan worship. And I guess we'll see what comes around next. But again, just remember the quote by the great Abraham Lincoln, who really was a superman in that day. And he said that the money powers prey upon the nation in times of peace and conspire against it in times of adversity. It is more despotic than a monarchy, more insolent than an autocracy, and more selfish than a bureaucracy. It denounces as public enemies all who question its methods or throw light upon its crimes. As a result of the war, corporations have been enthroned, and an era of corruption in high places will follow, and the money powers of the country will endeavor to prolong its reign by working upon the prejudices of the people until all wealth is aggregated into a few hands and the republic is destroyed. So, welcome to the New World Order. Repent that you might be saved, because we do have one that is at bat for us, and his name is Jesus. So we just wanted to have some fun during this great holiday season, and we'll let you go now. So this was just a little different for me to try. I'm using out my computer camera that had all these little additives, and just wanted to have some fun and see how we could pass along some information and do something a little different this time. So if you were offended, don't be a crybaby about it. There is a time to laugh, and that's what we wanted to do today. So enjoy, and may God bless you. Don't cry. Be happy.